So it's been a while since I've done one of these video blogs, but I have a lot of time on my hands and I'm so inspired by the music that we're playing this week at the Grand Tetons Music Festival. We're playing Mahler's First Symphony, and kind of the word that I keep thinking about gravitating to while I'm playing this is nostalgia. And for me, it's such a special piece. It feels a little more compact than other Mahler symphonies that I've played. But because of that, I feel so connected to every single theme and gesture because they keep coming back, and they come back changed or they come back the same, which is almost sadder in some ways. And it's been a really moving journey to play this, especially up in the mountains here. The opening of this piece with just the A harmonic, eerie, ghostly, still, and all the woodwinds and almost like little creatures waking up and sounding spring, and it could be ominous, but instead it turns into this joyful thing. It's just so beautiful here because mountains have that kind of dangerous but also just expansive and glorious feeling to them as well. So it's honestly such a pleasure to be here and to play this music. One of the themes that I really love so much comes three times in this piece, the first time in the first movement, and it's just this kind of like begging, pleading gesture. I'll play it here. Oh, there's just something so amazing about that. Just that kind of that gesture of sighing and then that reaching for that G flat is just so beautiful. And then it comes another time in the last movement, but it's denied. You get two of those gestures and then it's just plowed through. It's evaded, it's completely denied, and then it comes back again at the end. And somehow the fact that it hasn't changed is so moving to me, that you go through this whole journey of this whole piece and you get to the end and you still have this nostalgic sigh, this regret or this plea that still lives in the piece. It's so moving every time to play. I am close to tears, but not so bad. I try to keep it together. And then another really beautiful thing that I love about this piece is that a lot of the melodies, they kind of are threaded to one another. So the cellos will start with something gorgeous and then kind of trail away, and then the violins have to fill it in. And it's just, for me, so reminiscent of the fact that love has to be two-sided. Nothing can sustain itself, and it's so romantic how they sustain each other and create this beautiful love song together. One of my favorite books, The Unbearable Lightness of Being, by Milan Kundera, talks about how, when you're young, you start writing musical phrases and you write them with someone, and it gets harder and harder to have those pieces match. And for me, this gives me so much hope, and it really feels like, young love. And let's face it, when is love not young? Because it's always a new experience, so we're always going to be inexperienced at it. But yeah, so I love that part. I think I'll just find one really gorgeous moment of for an example of what I was talking about. So yeah. Maybe this is taking too long. Oh, that's the beginning. So here is that part. Okay. So, isn't that gorgeous, the way the violin chimes in with the same note and finishes the sentence there? But so I I had all these feelings about nostalgia and young love when I was listening to this, and I was talking to one of my closest friends, Cassandra Jackson. She told me that this piece and the song cycle that it's heavily linked with that she did for her recital, this piece was actually about the loss of his love, Johanna. And so it makes sense that all of these things are so clear. And for me, I almost feel like I can pinpoint the exact moment when he realized that it was not going to work out between them. And that's in this same exact phrase after the violins just finish the sentence. And the way that they diverge in this phrase with the contrary motion is just heartbreaking. I mean, that's so sad. And then the heaviness of that last phrase we just heard, and the the unison quality of it, of at least being on the same page about sadness, is really moving to me. Um, and then I guess the last part that I wanted to talk about was kind of for me, the start. I mean, it's a huge cathartic release, the end of this piece, but it's this really gorgeous place where I feel like he's pleading for the last time. It's this. Anyway, I'm sitting cross-legged on the floor, so I don't think that sounds very good, but I hope that you can feel the yearning of these huge leaps. Something about that is just heartbreaking, and it's related to that first gesture that I talked about. It's the same notes, and then for once, instead of going to G flat, it goes to G, and it goes that extra half step. And for me, that's like that extra little inch is what carries the piece through. It causes this huge breakdown for the violist, this barking, really kind of, you know, cubist, angular thing. And then we arrive at the end. And for me, because of everything we've gone through and because we've seen so many of these gestures and love motifs come back and all that, the end doesn't feel easy or cheap in its joy. It feels so earned. So it's such an emotional experience playing through like an entire relationship and love lived for me, and it's such a joy. Another thing I think is so cool is that you never know what the woodwinds or the birds are going to be. You know, they kind of just happen, da 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 da, and then you know you're either in this rapturous spring or you're in this really sad nostalgic thing, and that's just kind of like our memory and our thoughts. You know, we don't have control over them as well as we would all like, and we naturally gravitate towards things. And I just think that this piece is so honest about how we think and how we deal with love, how we try to deny it, how it comes back. And it's just so inspiring to me how he could write something like this that expresses so clearly a time in his life. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts on Mahler 1. It's just such an incredible piece. After we played the concert last night, I was sobbing, and just because it was so beautiful an experience, because I love playing with these people too. And I came home and I listened to it another 3 or 4 times, and I can't wait to play it again later today. Okay, have a great afternoon, evening, whatever.